Okay, so the next one is potassium nitrate. Once again, you have your nitrate and you have your potassium. So we have a potassium phosphate, and now we have a potassium nitrate. Why do we have two different types of potassium? It is a chemical compound. Once again, it's a synthetic fertilizer. Major use of potassium nitrate are in fertilizers, tree stump removal, rocket propellant, and fireworks. So once again, why am I putting something on my plant that is used to kill and is used for rocket propellant? That is cognitive dissonance. So initially when I was learning farming by my father, he was taught all these things. And when I began to take a little farther step back and think about it, certain things just didn't line up, and I began to align. After discovering my core values, I began to basically call out these nutrient lines for how they develop their stuff, because I'm realizing that the owners of these companies have never really developed a value system. And so you can tell in their nutrient line because they're all over the place. There's no real true direction. It's just kind of throwing stuff in a bottle and selling it to people, and there's a whole bunch of names you kind of recognize, so you think it's a great product. So once you begin to break down how it's created and why it's created, they solve one problem by throwing in another thing versus just realizing that their product doesn't really work and they probably need to do a whole nother formulation. Versus just putting another band-aid over the cut, you actually go in there, clean out the wound, suture it up properly so it heals properly. Okay, so next one, earthworm casting. Okay, earthworm casting. It must be a good product because there's earthworm castings in it, right? Well, let's go to the next one. Magnesium nitrate. Magnesium nitrate, being highly water-soluble, magnesium nitrate occurs naturally only in mines and caverns as nitromagnesite, which is a rock. So, at the end of the day, the magnesium nitrate used in commerce is made by the reaction of nitric acid. So once again, they're using the NO3 and they are separating out the magnesium from the compound, and they're making another compound, which is an incredibly complex, overcomplicated process. And why would I give my plant something that is only found in mines and caverns? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. Shouldn't I be giving something to my plants that aren't so dark and gloomy, in a sense? Anyways. Okay, Norwegian kelp. These are trace minerals from the ocean. That's why any type of a kelp product is such a great product, because everything dumps into the ocean, so the ocean has all these different variety of trace minerals. Okay, this is something I really wanted to point out to you guys. Sulfate derived from sulfuric acid versus phosphate derived from phosphoric acid. So sulfuric acid is a strong acid, whereas phosphoric acid is a weak acid. So they're using a weak acid to derive these other chemicals over here, versus using a sulfuric acid, which is a much stronger acid. And when you use a stronger acid, it actually allows the minerals to complete their chemical reaction. When you use a weak acid, the chemical isn't allowed to actually complete its chemical reaction, so you have just a lower quality mineral in a sense. So just keep that in mind if you read down here. In turn, the strength of an acid can determine the way in which a titration occurs. So titration is a method or a process of determining the concentration of a dissolved substance. Okay, so there's basically just letting you know, hey, a stronger acid is going to dissolve something better than a weak acid. Basic 101. But right here, you're kind of realizing they're using some really weak acid to derive these chemicals into this nutrient.